I made some wafer paper orchids for a cake last weekend, so I thought I would do a quick demo on how to do that. And I've cut out templates that are the shape of the petals of the orchids. This is a moth orchid, so it's got two of these, which are the side ones, one big one that goes up in the top, and then two smaller ones that kind of go diagonally down like that behind the side ones. In the center is this shape, and you can cut that out, and you can look online. I'll put the templates up on my blog so you can get those, but you can just look at a picture of a moth orchid or look up templates for moth orchids, and you'll be able to find those. And just kind of approximate the shape at the center, because you're going to be taking that and kind of bending it anyway. Alright, so the way that I do these is wired petals so that you can move them around. You can do these without wires, but the benefit of the wires is that if you have them wired, you can adjust them. And when I put them on the cake a couple days ago, we were moving them around so that I could move it and kind of cover up gaps and stuff. Alright, this is vodka, which dries very quickly. And you want to put a tiny bit on there, because if you put too much, it's going to get soft and just melt. Then put the wire on, and then sandwich the wire between the two pieces of paper. So for each of these petals, you cut out two pieces of paper. And if you're not going to wire them, you just need one. Now at this point, you can either leave it, kind of bend it like this until it dries, or you can vein it if you want a little bit of texture. So this is an orchid veiner from New York Cake Supply. Put it down there and just give it a real hard press. And it should keep the imprint to a certain extent while it dries. I don't know if you can see that. It has like some of the veins around the very edges. You know, orchids are so thick anyway. It's not, the petals are so waxy, it's not like you really need a lot of veins on them. But you can do that if you want to. Then leave that flat to dry. This one I had done beforehand, and it had started to bend up at the top, so I just put that on top to keep it flat, because you want to kind of keep them flat while they're drying. If the paper gets too wet, it will start to compress and wrinkle up. Like this one right here kind of dissolved a little bit, so I just got that piece too wet. But that's okay, this is just a demo. Alright, so for the second one, you want to make sure that you're doing it kind of the opposite of this one, because you don't want them both to be the same shape. So I'm going to do it like that. And that means that this one is going to be the base. Oh, that might be too much on the top. See, it's very dark there. You want to work fast so that you're not losing it to melting. So I put the wire in there about 3/4 of an inch. For this, I didn't want it to go all the way through because I don't need to bend this part of the petal and keep it there. Alright, I will vein this one also since I did the other one. Just put it in, give it a good press. And that, you can see it has some veins on it. You can see that. Okay. And you really don't need to do that, like I said, but if you have a veiner and you want to do that just to give it some texture, you can. Let it dry flat. Okay, then this is the last one. It's the center petal that goes up behind the two back ones. Like this. Oops. Put the wire. Sandwich. And this is really not that wet, but it's sticky enough that it makes it tacky and it will grab it. So I will vein this one since I did the other ones. Pull it out and let it dry flat. And if you want to, if you have enough, I mean, if you had tons of veiners, you could just let it dry like that and it'll stick to the veiner. But I only have this one orchid veiner, so I'm just using it for all of them. Okay, so to recap so far, you have the 4 pieces. So whatever orchids you're going to be using, get the 4 pieces out. I need 1 of those, 2 of those, 2 of those, and 1 of those. So if it says 1 petal, you're going to cut out 2 pieces of paper to put together. If it says 2 petals, you cut out 4 pieces and put 2 together for each one. Alright, so now I have my petals. The only one that's going to be colored on this is the bottom ones and the center. So just take a little petal dust. You can also use, I guess, petal dust mixed with some vegetable oil, people say, or Crisco or something, but I don't need a real deep color. And it's good to keep things dry on wafer paper anyway. A few little dots. Okay, so there's that. There's that, and I will let that over here to dry. Now I've already colored this, and the way that I'm going to bend this, I'm going to take this part and bend it up toward the center. And I put the wire in all the way up to about here so that I could really bend it. So I'm going to bend this up and then kind of pinch it like that so that it has the shape like this at the base of the little center part. Okay. And then take these sides and just kind of curl them in. And since the wafer paper is still slightly wet and it's thicker because it's 2 layers, it will keep the shape. And you can always just go back and manipulate it into the shape that you want. Okay, so there's my center. I'm going to grab that and bend it down and get ready to wire the petals onto it. Alright, so I've got some florist tape. And you, like I said, you can do this without wires. Just attach it together with piping gel or with vodka or whatever. But because I like to move the petals around after I put the flower on the cake, I like to do the wires. Alright, so first go the large petals. I don't even know if I'm doing these the right way. And this one really needs to dry a little bit more. But I'm just going to do it because I want to show you. So make sure they're kind of mirror image of each other. And start wrapping it around the back. I don't cut the floral tape in half because that just seems like an extra step that kind of doesn't make any sense. Alright, I think I have it upside down now. It will move around. Yeah, because this was on the top. So that actually doesn't bother me, so I'm going to leave it like that. But if you want to make sure that this doesn't move around, just grab it. Alright, then this goes behind the 2. It's going to look like that. So take that. And then your last 2 petals go on the bottom. You're going to see a little bit of the color, but they should be behind these larger petals here. Alright, so once it's all attached, take the tape and wrap it around the stems really well. Or the wires, not the stems, it'll be the stem. Wrapped around the wires so that you're not going to get any wires poking anybody. And I'm kind of pulling on the tape at the same time that I'm wrapping it because that is what makes it sticky. Alright, so there we've got the flower. Adjust the, see, you can wire it, you can adjust the petals, so I can move them around to see if I like the way it looks. And if I think, like, I think this one's a little bit too big. So, guess what? It's paper. I can just trim that sucker off just a little bit. That looks better. Okay, and if you get any edges like this that look like they're a little collapsed, if you feel like trimming it off, you can. I'm just going to try to flatten it out a little bit. I'm not going to worry about trimming it. But there's your orchid. Isn't that cute? And it's very fast. And like I said, you don't have to vein it. You can just leave them plain. But there's lots of different flowers to look at and copy. And this is just a really quick way of doing it. So if you have any questions, leave them on the, after the video, and I'll try to get back to you. But this is just a really simple way to do it.